Marjorie here for some Real Talk with Coffee. I'm hopping on here today to talk about the question of what does enough look like? And I just was finishing writing a newsletter about hustling and what the question of like, what does it mean to hustle? I think the term has transitioned over time, but it really got me thinking about what is enough? And I'm recording this relatively close to the start of a new year. So, it's the time of year when everybody's setting goals, they're talking about what they want or what they don't have now, but they want later, or what they aren't like now, but want to be like later. And it's really got me thinking about what does it look like? What does enough look like? Because there's something about us as people that we're very always kind of going for what's the next thing, what's the next thing. Some of that is cultural, some of that is societal. I think there is some truth to the idea that happiness comes from sort of the pursuit and the process for a lot of us, not just the outcomes, right? We always think that, oh, when I get to X, I'll be happy. And then we're not. We're looking for what's Y, what's the next thing. There's some value in that, I think, in appreciating and being happy in the process of pursuit, in the process of growth. But sometimes I think we're so busy thinking about the next thing, we don't stop and ask the question, what does enough look like? And one way to ask that question is think about, okay, what does enough look like in terms of stuff I want to own? Or what does enough look like in terms of money I have or assets I have, right? What does enough look like? But also, I think it's really valuable to ask this question, what is enough? About ourselves. So not just saying like, I want to be a better parent, which I think we probably all do. We all have things we want to get better at as parents, or we want to be more patient. We want to be more present. These are the two most common ones I hear in all of my workshops. But what if you're just enough? What if, as a parent, what does being enough of a parent look like? For some of us, we might look at that question and think, that's never good enough. I'm not perfect, so therefore I can never, ever be good enough. But if we already accept that we can't be perfect, what does enough look like? Does enough look like loving your kids? Does enough look like being there when you can and accepting when you can't? I think it's a worthwhile question to ask about ourselves. And similarly, like when we think about whether it's health or whether it's our being with our partner or whether it's our job, of course you're going to still aspire to be better. Of course you're going to want to grow and improve. But in the meantime, what does enough look like? What does it look like if you are enough right now? And if you really think you're not enough right now, what would it look like to reach that? But then stop. And so I just want to think about that today. No real answers, as usual, Real Talk with Coffee. But I would love for you all to leave today thinking about that question as you move about your day. What does enough look like, both in terms of things I have, but what does it look like for me to be enough, to be a good enough parent, to be a good enough teacher, to be a good enough whatever it is you are? Or think of yourself as. What does good enough look like? And maybe you're already there. That doesn't mean you stop growing, but maybe you recognize the power of knowing that you are enough. All right, with that in mind, have a great rest of the day. Check out the link below. Follow me at createbalancedlife.com. You can follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and for more of these Real Talk with Coffee videos. And also, definitely check out my website and sign up for my newsletter because that's where all my good stuff really goes out and my best stuff goes out. All right, cheers.